All right, friends, today we are going to start our first day of watercolor painting our bears. Now, today we are only going to paint things that start with the letter S. So we are going to use our paintbrush, and a water cup to paint our scarf, which starts with S, and our sky, which starts with S. We are not going to be painting our bear because that starts with B, or nose, which starts with N, or eyes, which start with E, or ears that also start with E. Just the things that start with S. So we're painting our scarf, and we're going to paint our sky. Now today I'm going to start with the sky because I think it's the easiest thing to start with because it's only going to be one color. Now whatever color that is, you get to decide. I normally do colors that the sky normally is. So if I open up my watercolor tray, I will normally do either a light blue, or it's a little hard to see on camera, but a dark blue or maybe a purple. However, I have pink, red, orange, yellow, and green in my tray, and I would be okay with any of you using any of these colors. The only color that maybe I would say to stay away from is the color brown, because our bear is going to be painted brown next time. So maybe having a brown sky and a brown bear could be a little bit confusing. Today, I think I'm going to do my dark blue. So what I'm going to do is start with my paintbrush, and my paintbrush right now is dry. So I need to give my paintbrush a bath. So I'm going to take my fresh, clean water cup. You can see my water is nice and clean and clear. And I'm going to paint the bottom of my glass very gently to get my paintbrush nice and wet. And I don't want it to be too wet or dripping all over my paper. So I'm going to just wipe it nicely on the side a couple times so that it's not dripping all over my paper. From here, I'm going to set my water cup down. I'm going to take my water tray, and I'm going to create what I like to call a color puddle. Again, this might be a little bit hard to see on camera, but I'm going to take my paintbrush, and I'm going to paint inside of this dark blue. Remember, you can do any color, but I'm choosing to do dark blue. And you can't really tell, but it's nice and wet in there right now, and I have a little bit of a puddle inside. From here, what I'm going to do is set my paint tray aside so it's out of the way, and I'm going to start at the bottom of my sky. I'm going to move all the way around and come back down. Now, if you chose to do with a white crayon or a light crayon, either snowflakes or circles in your background, you'll notice as you start to paint, all of those circles appearing. So let's start. I'm going to go ahead and just start painting over top. And sometimes, friends, if you have too much paint, you won't see the crayon as well as if you use less paint. So notice the more I paint, the more you can see the circles because the less paint I now have on my brush. However, if I'm noticing that now I have no paint on my paintbrush, then I need to go back to my color puddle, which is now up here, and I need to get a little bit more paint. And you might notice that your color puddle is starting to get a little sticky. If you're noticing that your paint is getting sticky, friends, you're going to go ahead and just dip your paintbrush in the water, and you'll see it is a little bit blue now when I do that. Wipe it a little bit on the side and add just a little bit more water to your color puddle so that you can continue painting around your whole bear. Now, friends, sometimes I find that it's hard to reach the head of my bear, so I like to flip my paper upside down so that I can reach this part of my picture a little bit better. I'm going to grab a little bit more water, I'm going to grab a little bit more paint, and I'm going to continue around my head. And now the sky of my bear is completely done. Now, before I can switch to any new colors, I need to make sure that I wash the blue paint, or whatever paint you use, off of my paintbrush before I get another paint from my paint tray. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my water again, go all the way to the bottom, switch to swish, and I'm actually going to leave it there right now for when I describe this next part to you. Okay, we are going to continue the A-B pattern that we started on our scarf. So notice my A-B pattern is purple, red, purple, red, purple, red, purple, red, purple. Or my A-B pattern is also hearts, stripes, hearts, stripes, hearts, stripes, hearts, stripes, hearts. What you are going to do with your watercolor is pick any color that isn't the color of your crayon. So I would not want to paint purple inside of purple, and I would not want to paint red inside of red, but I could do any other color, and you are going to do an A-B pattern over top of the crayon that you created your first A-B pattern with. Okay, so what I'm going to do is look at my colors and try to decide which ones would work best. So maybe over top of purple, let's do orange. And over top of red, let's do green. So my A-B pattern is going to be orange, green, orange, green, orange, green, orange, green, orange. And the easiest way to do this is start with one color and do all of the boxes with that color and then switch to the other one. So I'm going to wash my paintbrush and I'm going to wipe it off. And then I'm going to start with making a color puddle, and you can see it right at the top of the screen there. A color puddle in my orange paint so that now I have orange paint on the tip of my paintbrush. Then what I'm going to do is just very nicely paint right over top of my crayon. And I don't want to use too much water or too much paint, but I do want to fill the whole box. And then I'm going to go back for a little bit more and go over top of the next one. Now notice I skipped over this one because this is B. Right now we are painting A. So I'm going over top, and I'm just trying to fill in as much as I can. And I'm going to keep doing this all the way down. And now I am done with my orange and I am done with my hearts. And when this dries, friends, it's going to look a little bit better. Because my paper is really wet right now, it's kind of hard to see what it will look like when it's dry, but it will look better, I promise. Now I have orange on my paintbrush, so I need to take my cup and I need to wash, 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 wash. And then I'm going to move on to making a color puddle inside of my green paint right at the top of your screen here. And I'm going to go over top of the rest of the boxes. Now friends, you're going to want to be careful because my paper is wet. You'll notice that some of my paint will kind of run into each other, and that's not a super big deal, but make sure you're being really careful while you paint so that they're not completely covering each other. So I have a little bit of an overlap here, which is okay, but I'm going to try my best to not have that happen again. So I'm going to be really careful. And now all of my scarf is done. So I'm going to finally clean off my paintbrush to be done. So I'm going to wash, 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 wash. I'm going to wipe it on the side, and this time I'm going to leave it like this on the top so that it can dry nice. I'm going to close up at the top of the screen here my paint and put that away. And then I'm going to make sure that my bear goes somewhere super, super safe to dry. Okay? Next time, we will paint the bear and we will paint the ears. But today, just the sky and the scarf. Great job, everybody.